Good morning, everyone. This is JB of Let's Gulong Pare, and as usual, I'm driving. I'm on my way to pick up some supplies for my wife, and she's about to give birth this weekend. Hopefully, this weekend, or I'm not sure, maybe next week, but I gotta be ready. Anyway, I'm making this video because I wanted to answer an inquiry that I received from our group, Let's Gulong Pare, Kaalaman tungkol sa gulong by Dr. Tire PH. And the guy wants to remain anonymous, but he said I can speak about his background. Now the guy works for another tire manufacturer, and he's been working with that group for about 5 years now, and said he's learning a lot from our page. Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that recognition. And he asked me, he said he watched the video last 2 days ago about service description. Service description is, by the way, for those people who are just tuning in, the 2-3 digit number in a letter that comes after your tire size. This is a combination of your speed symbol and your load capacity index. Okay. Now, his question was this. Um, James, what if a consumer would exceed load capacity index, or what if a consumer would exceed speed symbol or speed limits of the tire? Okay, let me repeat the question. What if a consumer would exceed load limits indicated by the load capacity index or speed limits as indicated by the speed symbol? Let me answer that in two parts. Okay. Let's talk about the category called truck and bus. Okay, in truck and bus, most manufacturers nowadays, they incorporate a unique point. Okay, what is a unique point? It's another set of service description. It's another set of load capacity index and a speed symbol. Okay, this tells a consumer that, uh, in summary, this tells a consumer that, hey, you can load more, a little bit more, but your operating speed should be lower. Okay, that's the unique point. And but please take note, not all manufacturers would be able to tell a consumer that because of their design and whatever reinforcement that they have incorporated in the tire. Okay, so again, ulitin ko, hindi po lahat may unique points. Okay. Now, in field experience, I've seen some truck and bus tires fail for a measly 5% uh, more load. Okay. But I've seen some 35 to 50% more load than load capacity index. Hindi pa sila nasisira. So, again, depende yan sa tire manufacturer. Okay. And so what happens if they exceed? Okay. Well, sa truck and bus, pag nag-exceed ka, two things might happen. The worst thing is tire failure. Since you're exceeding load limits, or let's just say heavy load ka talaga, your bead area would start to separate, okay, and your cables would be stretched as or I'd say very stretched, because higher load means higher pressure. So stress na stress yan. So naka-stretch yan. So you're trying to stretch the cables as you operate with a higher load. Now, this would rupture, okay? This might result to rupture of the cables and tire failure. So, yan yung pwedeng mangyari. Yung iba, pwede nila, madalas nga yan sa consumers, sabi nila, sa fleets, no, bigla na lang daw sila sumabog. And usually, hindi kasi akma yung unique points in the pressure application. So, nag-exceed sila ng 10% or 20% or 30%, but they don't know how much more pressure they should incorporate. Pwede naman alam nila, however, hindi kaya ng goma yung pressure application na ginawa nila. Some I've seen 160 PSI, hindi kaya ng mga gulong nila. Okay, some in Malaysia, in China, we've seen 200. Okay, but Malaysia is stricter compared to the Philippines, but I've seen 200. And I thought my gauge is off, but 200 PSI, yeah. May mga tires hindi kaya yung ganun kataas na pressure application, so nagfe-fail sila because cables are so stretched, it snaps, okay? Now, what happens if you exceed the speed? In truck and bus, normally it won't happen, but if it happens, the ability, take note, every tire would have different abilities to dissipate heat. Now, if you exceed the speed, heat comes next. Increase in temperature of your tire comes next. And this will start separation. So, there, especially on the shoulder area of your tread. Now, sinasabi nila, tumataas daw yung pressure. Yes, true, but not enough to rupture your tire. But I'm more worried about the pressure, the temperature, because as it increases, it degrades or deteriorates the products inside your tire. Separation comes next, and rupture comes after. So that's what's going to happen. Now that's for truck and bus. Okay, let's talk about four wheels or two wheels. Okay, in four wheels or two wheel operation, medyo mas lighter yung pinag-uusapan natin, loading. However, they're much more faster. So what happens? Okay, now take note that the OE specs, the vehicle designers and the tire manufacturers that engineered their vehicles, and the tire manufacturers who recommended those tires, usually they recommend a tire that would have a much higher speed limit than the vehicle itself. Yeah, much higher speed limit than the vehicle usually. Okay, so kung halimbawa 110 or 270, 200 kilometers per hour ang kayang takbuhin ng yung sasakyan, usually the tires would have a much higher speed limits. Now, this also goes for load limits. If just like the example of what I posted, the Hyundai Starex incorporates a tire that would be able to carry 1,000 kilos per tire. That's 4,000 kilos. And I think Hyundai Starex is somewhere in between 2.3 tons to 2.5 tons. Now, if you're gonna increase load, pasok pa rin yung 4 tons. So, yes, the tire manufacturer recommends a tire that would have much more weight carrying capacity compared to the total gross weight of your vehicle. Okay, so again, theoretically, what happens if they did the same? They exceed it. Now, normally for four wheels, manufacturers would not have that unique point. Okay, they would not declare unique points, but they can withstand. I would say probably the highest that I've seen is 10%, and that's it. I would not recommend exceeding 10%. But again, this affects the ability of the tire to hold air, because exceeding 10% or adding 10% more load tells a consumer to increase the pressure. And if you increase the pressure, not all tires are capable for high pressure applications. So I do not recommend. Okay? I do not recommend. Now for speed, same principle. If you are exceeding speed limits, your tires will begin to heat up, and it would degrade. And degrading the tires, mag-start na yung separation of products. Especially, it would start from Trust me on this one, I've seen it. Shoulders. Okay, it's the hottest part of your tread when you are operating. It's the hottest part. So that's where deterioration would start. Okay. Now I hope I answered the question, brother. Keep supporting the page. I'd like everyone to follow Let's Gulong Pare, Kaalaman Tungkol sa Gulong by Dr. Tar PH. And I just made a YouTube video or channel, Dr. Tar Philippines, and these will be uploaded there as well. And again, guys, to summarize what I said or what I mentioned, um, for truck and bus, there's a unique point. You can exceed a little bit more of the load limits, but you would be decreasing the operating speed. But not all tires would have that ability. Okay. Now for four wheels, you can exceed as high as 10% on the load, but I would not recommend it. Okay. Do not stretch your cables because cables are dependent on the design, on or the design of the cables will tell you its ability to hold air pressure. So increasing loads will increase air pressure application. Now for speed, if you're always speeding up or exceeding speed limits, heat will start to deteriorate or degrade your tires. That would eventually lead to separation and tire failure. And last but not least, underperformance. If you're exceeding those limits, load and the speed, do not expect higher life expectancy for your tires. The first performance that will be affected will be tire wearing. So it will wear faster, so tire mileage will be shorter. And other performances just like grip, traction, and directional control will also be affected because you are changing, okay, the area in contact on the ground, especially if you're increasing the load. Now guys, I hope you learned from this video, and I'd see you again next time. Bye guys.